Welcome to Cosmic Road. We have a very special guest today. We have Nicola, who's going to tell us the ins and outs of the UFO control group. So, welcome, Nicola.
Hi, Jack.
I think I'm saying your name kind of correct. Maybe I should just call you Nico. Nico sounds probably
Yeah.
less can go wrong with me saying Nico. Uh,
Yes,
but
absolutely.
But in addition to being an entrepreneur, Nico has spent many years and a lot of resources trying to unearth the UFO control group, or as he calls it, the program. And he has made considerable progress and gotten some really juicy information. And he's going to share what he can with us today. And I'm delighted to have him on. So I'll let you take it from here, Nico. Do you want to tell us a little bit about who you are and how did you get involved in this?
Hi, Jack. So before I go there, I just want to let your audience know that I'm the one who actually reached out. I contacted you a few months ago, not because I wanted to be on your show, but just because I just wanted to learn more about you. I really like your videos. I watch them every day. And then, well, we've been UAP friends for a few months now, and I decided well, you invited me to talk about my experience with UAPs and the program, the control group. I was reluctant. I was not interested in it, but I thought that my story could be interesting. So I'm writing a book, not in my name. I want to remain anonymous. I'm not looking for. I'm not interested in being famous. I'm not a Louis Elizondo, or I'm not a David Grush for sure. But I do have an interesting story to share. And another reason why I'm anonymous, you only know my nickname, is because I'm an entrepreneur, as you said. I work with really wealthy individuals, and I do not want to embarrass them. So that's why I don't think they're interested in the UAP topic. Most of my friends, most of the people around me are not interested, but that's something we can discuss
Yeah,
later
it's the
on.
same way with me. Unfortunately, I try to talk to people about UFOs and they just roll their eyes.
Yeah,
It is
yeah.
what it is. But how did
It's
you get
kind of
started
crazy.
investigating this stuff?
So it started in 1994. Not the investigation, but I witnessed something that I did not understand. So I was living in the south of France in 1994 and southeast. In I think it was in November of 1994, a friend of mine and myself who were sitting on the beach in Nice. Nice is a city in the southeast of France. I think a lot of people know the name at least. We were sitting on the beach on chairs, and we were just talking about what guys talk about when they are in their teens and I teen years. And at one stage, I realized there was something above us on the beach. You have to understand the beach is the city is on the seaside. So we were basically in the city, but on the beach. And we saw a massive triangular shaped object, actually boomerang shaped object above us. Massive. Massive. Doesn't mean much, but I think it was probably around 100 yards wide, just to give you an idea, and it
That's pretty
was
big.
just a few hundred yards above our head. It was massive. It was no light came from it. It was moving very slowly towards the city and towards us. And the split second I saw it, I say to my friend, "Did you see this? There's a massive thing above us." And he say, "Yeah, I've seen it." Overall, we saw the object for about 6 or 7 seconds. It doesn't sound like much, but when you do see something that doesn't make sense, time stretches. And so we saw the object for a few seconds and then it disappeared. But it disappeared in a motion, right? It was as it was coming towards above, as it was coming near the city, it just disappeared. It just went away super fast. Let's put it that way. So back then I was very young, and I believed in UFOs clearly, but it's not a topic I was particularly interested in. But obviously, it totally changed my mind about the topic, and it completely broke me for months. I tried to make sense of what I saw. So many years later, in 2006, I won't say where because unfortunately I don't want to. There's a lot of information I can't share, but I would say in the Middle East. I was in the Middle East with one of my business partners. I was in my 20s, mid 20s, actually, yeah, late 20s, and I we were in the Middle East, and a group of people, including myself, we saw some lights above a lake, and but the lights technically they're UFOs, but there was nothing very anomalous about them. But we started talking about UFOs, and I shared my story with my business partners at the time and a few friends, and they were very interested in my story. And a few hours later, one of my business partners, a very wealthy guy, told me, Nico, let me introduce you to someone I know, I've known for a long time. He's old, he's about to pass away, and he would like to, I think you would probably like to hear what he has to say. So we drove to his house. So I was introduced to a very old guy. Well, not very old, but someone in his 80s. It's all relative, right? Um, and um, and there's a lot of details I can't share, but the bottom line is, he told me I was involved in reverse engineering programs. I When I was younger, I was not a he was the guy was a military person. He wasn't a scientist. But his job was to collect information related to UAPs and aliens and spin the information just to make sure that the public doesn't know the truth. So he had access to a lot of information. He never saw an alien or UFO himself, but he had all the documents, not all, but a lot of documents about the reality of what's actually going on in the reverse engineering world. So, and he asked me to tell him about the UFO I saw. And I said to him, well, I saw an alien spacecraft. It was massive, it didn't make a sound, and it could move at incredible speeds. And he said to me, "No, that's not an alien spacecraft. That's a plane. That's a plane." And he said, "I think if I have notes, loads of notes, and if I remember correctly, he said, no, it's a plane built by Raytheon." And you have to understand, your audience needs to know I have a PhD in a scientific topic, and I'm very familiar with how planes are built. So I say to him, no, it can't be a plane. I know how planes are built. It cannot be a plane. I say, yes, it is. Raytheon, they built it. And then he told me, some people call it TR3B. So yeah, that was the first time I was exposed to the concept of reverse engineering. I had never heard of that concept. And so once again, he broke me, completely broke me. And he also told me that, yeah, humans, we've been reverse engineering objects, alien spacecraft for a long time. He didn't tell me when we started, but he said a long time ago, and he said before, way before Roswell. And he told me he had transcripts of interviews of aliens. He told me so much. Once again, it completely broke my brain. So,
That's amazing. I hate to interrupt you,
well,
but I had a question for you.
you can interrupt anytime.
I hate to interrupt your train of thought, but so did he tell you why a Raytheon reverse engineered UFO would be flying around in broad daylight with witnesses? What was it doing? Why
Oh,
was it willing
sorry.
to take that risk?
First of all, it wasn't in daylight. I forgot to mention that it was
Okay,
at night. It was actually, I remember
maybe I
it
just
was
missed that part.
after 11 p.m. And no, he didn't say, but he said they fly them around everywhere. And he also told me, oh, we have dozens of them. It's not only one. And no, but they have dozens of them. And he actually worked for Raytheon as a contractor for several years. And so they fly around everywhere. The North Americans probably don't know about it, but there was a massive UFO wave in the I think in 1990. A lot of people in Belgium saw a triangular
Yeah,
shaped
that's a very well
object.
known
Um,
wave. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So I saw mine just a few years later. So they fly around everywhere. Why? I don't know. He didn't tell me. There's a lot of things he couldn't tell me. But he told me a lot of things about the technology and how it's done, how it's hidden because he was involved in hiding all the information. And he told me we've reversed engineered a lot of spacecrafts. He told me, that it's an international effort led by the Americans, but it's not the US. Because a lot of my friends, I've talked to a few people about the topic of UAPs, and a lot of people in Europe say, "Yeah, but it always happens in the US." No, 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 no. A lot of spacecraft are actually recovered all around the world. The thing is, you have to understand nowadays it's a lot of people are aware of this now because of David Grush and a lot of YouTubers like yourself have shared the information. But back then, in the mid 2000s, no one knew about it around me anyway. Not many people talked about it. So I thought to myself, what the hell am I going to do with this? What am I going to do with this information? And once again, it broke me. It was amazing. So my friend, my business partner who introduced me to this person, then took me to another place many months later, and we were in the US, and he told me, look, I have another friend of mine you probably want to talk to. He's a military person, and he's actually worked on alien technology. You probably want to talk to him. So I can't say where it was exactly, but let's say it was in the northeast of a country of the US. So I met with a guy. I think 4 or 5 months after I met with the guy in the Middle East. I had done a lot of research. I read a lot of books about UFOs because once again, I was not. I believed that we've been visited, but I wasn't really interested that much. So I read a lot. And so I was introduced to another person, same profile, old person, and he told me that he actually actively worked on crash retrieval. He retrieved. He was involved in the crash in two crash retrievals. He said. He told me that originally he was a military guy, and originally he was hired to just recover conventional helicopters and planes. Then he moved to more top secret planes, but human planes. And then he was given the opportunity to enter, I think it's called a SAP, right? So someone came to him and said, you have to sign this contract if you want a better pay, a better job, a more interesting job. But unfortunately, I cannot tell you what it is before you sign. So he signed it. And he kept on doing the same job for, I think, 4 or 5 years, something like that. And one day he was called to retrieve with other people, obviously, retrieve something that was clearly an alien spacecraft. He didn't give me a lot of details about what the spacecraft looked like, but it was badly damaged. There were beings inside. He saw one himself. That's why he claimed, anyway. And
What
he
kind of
said there
being
were
was it?
more than one.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
He didn't give me any details.
Okay.
He didn't give me any details. So unfortunately, I don't know. Believe me, I asked a lot of questions about the beings, but he didn't give me any details. But the only thing he said is that they were small, and as far as he knows, they were dead. But he doesn't know that much because he had a very specific task to carry out, and he didn't get a chance to really, really look at them. So even on a crash retrieval, within a crash retrieval team, he said everything is compartmentalized. So not everyone has access to the beings. Not every they have some very specific tasks. So he told me there was another crash he was involved with, but it wasn't actually a crash. But somehow they managed to take the spacecraft, the alien spacecraft, down. It wasn't damaged, but it couldn't take off anymore. So there were no debris. It was just down, and he doesn't know if there were aliens inside, but the craft didn't have any wings, didn't have any propulsion means of propulsion. It didn't make any sound when it went down because it was there when it was down. It was shut down, and was actually shut down using non-conventional energy projection. I think that's the term, technical term, any projection,
There's energy
energy
weapons, there's
projection
EMP
weapons.
devices, there's all those. I don't know what, are you referring to energy weapons or electromagnetic pulse or?
Energy weapons. He didn't say EMPs. He didn't use the word EMPs. But anyway, they found a way. It wasn't kinetic energy, right? It wasn't a missile. That's all I
Right,
know.
right.
And
Were they both shoot downs? Uh,
the second both shut downs, but the second one was not damaged. The first one crashed. The second one didn't crash.
okay.
That's
Okay.
what I said.
Now,
Once
did did,
again,
did he
I'm
tell
only
you?
reporting what he said.
Did he tell you why specifically shooting at those UFOs? Like,
No,
there's a lot of evidence to
no.
suggest that some people in the program have been working with beings, or at least at some point in the past, there has been some interaction, which would seem to
Yeah,
indicate we, or at least the control group, is working with some of these guys, but shooting at others. Do you have any insight into that?
yeah. Yeah, I do. I didn't hear that from this specific person. Overall, I interviewed 6 people who claimed to be part of a program, but this guy didn't expand. But he told me I managed to keep an alien artifact with me. Do you want to see it? So obviously, I said
No, no
yes.
interest in that. Yeah.
I came all the way here, but no, I'm not interested. Of course. I can't give too many details about the object simply because if I do, I don't know who's listening, but some people might be able to find out who the person is, unfortunately. What I would say is that the object did not make sense. It was a small object that I could hold in my hand. And let's just say the object did not obey the known laws of gravity. That's all I can say. It was a small object and it didn't make sense. I'm a man of science, and I spent many years studying scientific topics, and so when you do that, your brain is formatted in a very specific way. So when you're confronted with something that doesn't make sense, your brain, it's like a bug, like your brain stops working. There's Your brain tries to find an explanation for what it sees and what it experiences. So I really tried to make sense of the object I was holding in my hand, but I couldn't. It just didn't make sense to me. So there you go. So I actually held some alleged alien technology, but to me, there's no doubt it was not human. I don't know what it was, where it came from. I can't tell, can't say for sure, but it broke the laws of physics. So
That's
there
that's
you go.
amazing, man. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing. Once again, it broke my brain again. I couldn't sleep for months. For months, I couldn't sleep. So once again, a few months later, I was introduced to a few
Okay,
more
okay.
people.
Before we move on to the next one, can you tell us anything about those two craft? Like what they look like? Were they also, triangles? Were they disc? Were they manta rays like Roswell? What can you give us any clue as to their appearance?
Yeah, I can't tell you about the first one because it was really badly damaged, and the guy didn't tell me, didn't want to tell me about the first one. I don't know why, but the second one, he said it was a very circular shaped, typical UFO, like a flying saucer, really quite big. If I remember correctly, he said about 25 meters. Sorry, I don't know how much it is in yards, 30 yards wide, something like that. But yeah, he didn't get he. As I say, when the UFO landed, I was going to say the plane. When the UFO landed, it didn't crash. So he didn't see anything inside. So he didn't know if there were any beings. He said the spaceship itself was gray in color, but the hue changed slightly from time to time. I think he mentioned blue and green, but it was mostly gray. It didn't make a sound at all, at all. And remember, it was only the second UFO he saw. So it totally boggled his mind because the object just didn't make a sound, didn't have any wings, didn't. As I said, when you see something like that, your brain breaks. And he wasn't briefed on what it is, on what it was after or before. He didn't know, so he didn't have any information. He was just told, "Go there, and we're going to attempt to bring something down, and it could come down at any moment. So go there, and if something happens, we'll need you." So
Did he actually
that's it.
witness the shoot down?
Yes, he did. Yeah,
Wow, wow, and
yeah, he did.
that's amazing. That's amazing. I
Yeah.
mean, I can't tell.
I
I
know,
can't.
I know.
I can't. I'm excited. That's exciting, but at the same time, I don't know if they're shooting at good guys or bad guys. I just, it's so crazy. Uh, but do you have
Well,
any
as I
insight?
say, this guy didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
He didn't know anything about it, and so I forgot to mention something. I asked them, "Why are you telling me these things? Why are you sharing this information with me?" And he said, "Well, you're a friend of a friend." They both told me the same thing. You're a friend of a friend. You're interested in this topic, and I'm tired of the secrecy. I want the information to be public, but I can't. And they were both old. I think they knew they were going to die soon. Unfortunately, they did, both of them. And so they just wanted to talk to someone, and it was a massive weight, on their mind, on their soul, and they just needed to share it. And you have to understand, we were among friends. I didn't know the guys, but he knew the people I was with very well. So yeah, here you go. That's why.
Okay, now I'll let you get to the
And
next if you want.
yeah, so I met four more people who claimed to be in the program. One of them was a scientist who worked on technology that didn't make sense to him. He was given a technology that didn't make sense to him. He said, "This technology is not human. It's not possible." I was contacted because I'm an expert. I'm a word expert in the field, and the object I was asked to study does not make sense. It wasn't built by us. So that's how we knew that it was not from the earth. Then I talked to a few other people, and basically what they said, one of them claimed that he read some transcripts of interviews of non-human intelligent beings, and he basically said, and I think I can share this now because you've heard it from other people anyway. But I was told what the universe is. I was told why the beings come here. I was told a lot of things. And you have to understand, I didn't believe, I'm not even sure I do today. I'm just sharing what I was told. But I'm not sure I believe everything I was told. So the bottom line is, the universe is not what we think. So he basically said, based on a few interviews we had with beings from all the places, the universe is a creation. It's a creation from beings in higher dimensions, if you like. And I was told that us human beings, we were engineered at one stage in our evolution. He mentioned that the concept of Atlantis is real. He didn't say it's called Atlantis, but he basically mentioned that there were more than one civilizations in the past. Humans, so well, let's say there were intelligent civilizations before us on Earth, and some of them are still here today. That's what I was told. Obviously, I asked them, tell me more. Where are they? There's a lot of things he couldn't tell me, but what he said is that we have found artifacts that look alien, but that come from the Earth. I think Lou Elizondo mentioned uh, the idea that maybe we found something akin to a plane in King Tut's tomb.
Yeah,
Don't know
yeah,
if you
he
remember.
gave the analogy of finding like a Boeing
Yeah,
747 in King Tut's tomb. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And it was unclear
Um,
from that if he meant like finding a UFO at an archaeological site or if he meant something more Atlantean.
I don't know what he meant, but what I was told is that there were at least one civilization, advanced civilization before us. And I was also told that we were engineered. I was told that yeah, and when you think about it, it kind of makes sense, right? Our brand, we separated from the oldest, not oldest, but we separated from chimps 6 million years ago, right? We've been in our modern form in the past only in the past 200 or 300,000 years. Nobody knows for sure. It always bothered me that apes still exist and they're still so far, so sorry to say this, but dumber than humans. How is that possible? If we evolved in the
Speak
same
for yourself,
environment, why
Nico.
are we so different? Right? So it always bothered me. And so he said, "Yeah, we've been engineered." Unfortunately, he couldn't give me a lot of details. And but he said we are soul containers. That's the expression he used. Humans are soul containers, and if we lost the way of spirituality. We live in a very materialistic world, and we forgot who we really are. That's basically what I was told.
That's amazing. And that dovetails with a lot of my own research, that Atlantis or whatever it was, the fourth iteration of civilization. And we are the fifth and perhaps the final. Either we make it or break it finally, whatever that means. And that some of those other civilizations were working with higher beings, whether that means alien or higher dimensional is unclear, and maybe different groups at different times, and that there were civilizations as remote to Atlantis as Atlantis is to us, and going
Yeah,
on and on and on back throughout history.
yeah,
That's fascinating that one or more of those groups might still be around and might be relevant in this conversation of UFOs and what people are seeing and finding. I would love to know how much of what we're seeing is past humans or whatever intelligences on this earth that are native to the earth in some way,
yeah,
or not more non-human or external to earth. Um,
yeah. At the time, I was also told that we as the human race, we are aware of at least 70 different species of aliens. And I was also told you can call it an intergalactic federation of species. They don't all see eye to eye with each other. And I was also told that it's true that we signed agreements with the Greys. I was told it's true.
so is
You
okay. I've heard multiple stories about the Einstein, yeah, the Eisenhower meeting with the beings, right? There's different versions of that. One saying,
I saw that as well, by the way.
okay, give us the scoop. What have you got on the Eisenhower meeting? What
Oh,
really
I
happened?
don't have a lot of details, but what I was told is that yes, it's true. We signed an agreement with alien species, and basically what he said is that unlike what you see in Hollywood, it never made sense to me. When a species wants to invade another planet, They do not use weapons of mass destruction. That's not how they do it. Once again, it never made sense to me. What they do instead is they approach a less developed civilization, and they ask them to sign an agreement. And the agreement is very simple. Give us something that we want. I do not know what it is that the beings want. In exchange, we'll give you some technology. However, you as human beings, you do have restrictions on how you're going to use the technology. The technology they gave us is nothing to them, like nothing, but like it's like magic to us, right? Like anti-gravity, and there's a very wide range of technologies apparently that we've been given access. But there's one of the reasons, I believe, that's my belief, one of the reasons why I don't believe there will be an easy control disclosure is because we are not in control of a process. We are told what us human beings we are allowed to use. That's what I was told. So my conclusion is that disclosure, it's not going to happen the way people expect it to happen. So that's why I'm in favor of an uncontrolled disclosure, because I don't think it's going to come easily from the government. Let's put it that way,
Well,
because they're not in
it
control.
hasn't so far, and there's no indication that it's becoming any easier. Although there are more
Yeah,
whistleblowers and there are people allowing this
yeah,
information to come out, there do seem to be pro
yeah,
disclosure elements that are letting some of this stuff come out. So that's
yeah.
encouraging. All right. So
That's what
getting
I
back to
mean.
the idea that the universe was created, which also
Yeah.
dovetails with a lot of my research. Who created it and why?
Why I don't know, but and I didn't have a lot of details. Just beings from higher dimensions, and they probably would look like gods to us. And by the way, the beings will come here. They're soul containers, like us. The difference between them and us is that they're a lot more developed than us. They understand what they are. Some of the beings by the way, I know on your channel you had, I forgot his name, you had a guy who presented a video of an interview of an alien to Congress.
Yeah, John Stewart.
And I was shown a similar video about the same beings. And so my view is that it's real. It's real. And these beings, same with the Greys and same with most of the creatures that come to Earth, they are. I don't know if it's the case for all of them, but I was told they're basically robots. They're biological machines that can attach a soul to them. So they don't fear death because they understood that they are I don't know what they are, but their body is only a container. They understood this, and that's one of the reasons why they don't fear death.
Well, that's what I've heard in some of my, research. I research experiencer accounts exhaustively, and I listen to what the beings tell people and people's interactions with them. And
Yeah,
excuse me, still getting over a little congestion. But one of the things is that the beings do create these bodies, and they will create them for their higher dimensional selves to come into. And
yeah,
that is apparently a thing that
yeah,
I've heard. And multiple different types of being can inhabit the same type of physical form, like the gray
yeah,
alien type. It can inhabit
yeah,
not just what we think of as a gray alien soul or what have you,
yeah,
but multiple different types of entity can inhabit a similar type of body.
yeah. Back then I was a huge skeptic. I mean, I saw the UFO, but as I said, it's funny because if you see a UFO, you should be open to the idea that advanced beings from other planets came here. But as I said, it's something I never really thought about. And so I asked a million questions, and one of the questions I asked, because it's something that always bothered me, why are they? Why do they have the same shape as us? Why do they have four limbs, one head? two eyes. Why do they look kind of similar to us? Because, I always felt if you come from another planet, that means you come from a completely different environment. So your DNA or whatever is used as DNA should yield something completely different. And apparently, I was told some beings told us that it's by design that the creatures always evolve into humanoid beings. Why? I don't know, but it's by design. So we should not be surprised if aliens look like us. There's a reason. Why? I don't know for sure. My assumption, based on all the information I gathered, is that it's kind of an optimal form to receive intelligence and interact with your environment. Because think about it, if you have the shape of an octopus, even though you have 8 legs, right? They have 8 legs. You're still limited in how you can interact with your environment. You can go on land. You have a lot of limitations. So maybe our shape is the optimum. Like in nature today, there's a lot of animals that evolve into crabs
Right.
because
Right.
being a crab is good for survival of a species. So maybe there's a natural reason why most of them are humanoid. Not all of them, apparently. Did I say we've been in contact with at least 70
So, wow, we've been in
species?
contact, not just knowledge of 70, but actual contact with 70 different groups. Do you know?
Well, I don't know if we talk to them. Sorry, that's not what I meant. But we've basically, let's just say we've cataloged at least 70 different species.
Wow. Wow.
And sorry, when I hear myself talk, I'm not used to talking about it's the very first time I publicly talk about this topic. And I'm just thinking some people are going to think I'm crazy. Your audience, obviously, they're probably quite open to the topic, but anybody who's new to this, they're going to think we're crazy because it sounds absolutely nuts because we've all been conditioned to believe that it's BS, and but people have to wake up. They
Oh
have
yeah,
to wake up.
I'm right there with you. I
The
was
world is a
brainwashed for
lot
most of
bigger
my
than
life.
people
I
think.
didn't believe in any of this stuff until 2017.
Yeah,
Lou Elizondo and ATIP and all that, and then I immediately began my own obsessive research, and
yeah,
my eyes opened. But and I think there's a lot of people out there like that, like us, who didn't believe and now are slowly, and
yeah,
quickly once you start believing it trying to figure it out and learn more about it and what it all means. And once you get far enough in the research, talk about 70 races and reverse engineering and Atlantis and higher dimensions. All of that is like, okay, yeah, yeah, okay. What else you got?
I
Well,
know. It's crazy.
throw something else at
I
me.
know. Yeah.
Do you have any
Gary
insight?
Nolan,
Uh,
Dr. Gary Nolan say that it's an open secret now. I mean, we have Congress. I'm not American, but you have Congress openly talking about NHIs. It's an open secret now. It's like they're not even trying to hide it. There's so many people who are coming out now, and and a lot of people have come forward throughout the years, but they've been ignored because once again we've been brainwashed to think that anything that has to do with UAPs and UFOs and aliens is BS. And people have to wake up. And which leads me to the topic of the Nazca mummies. You have to understand, I'm not American. And we all do this on Earth. We have a tendency of, of focusing on our country, right? If anything comes from another country, we don't really care because we don't know them. It's just it doesn't register as well. And my view is that the Nazca mummies are disclosure, plain and simple.
Amen,
And
brother.
and people need to be aware of that. What else do people need? We have bodies, physical bodies, a wide range of them. And by the way, many more different types of bodies will come out. Will be made public. There was a really wide range, And I think you mentioned it in one of your videos, but the place where the citadel or the tomb, if you like, the big tomb was uncovered is called the lab, the laboratory. So somehow the ancient people knew there was something going on there, and I shared that with someone a few days ago, and he said, "But did they have the word for lab?" Um, yeah, they did because they did a lot of experiments on plants. So yeah, they did have a word for lab in pre-Columbian America. And so, yeah, it is disclosure. What else do people need? We have bodies. The bodies have been studied by a really wide range of people. Every single doctor or scientist that has had the bodies has said they're real. They're real bodies. They're not dolls. So what else do you need?
So
And
do you think the Citadel was actually a non-human structure? I was always
oh,
thinking
I
that it was like a tomb made for the beings by humans, but are you thinking that maybe it's something else?
Oh, to be clear, this is not me saying it was called the lab. To be clear, because I'm French, I watch a lot of videos in French about a guy called Thierry Jamin. Thierry Jamin, he's hard to define because he's not really an archaeologist. He's not a scientist, but he's the co-founder of a foundation called Inkari in French. I don't know what it means. He said that in one of his videos, but I forgot. But anyway, his goal, his through his foundation, is to uncover, you know, things we don't know. His main goal was to find the a lost city called Paititi. I don't know much about it, but it's a mystical place,
Okay.
and he thinks he found it. But at least he thinks he knows where it is, but he hasn't found it yet. And then in September of 2016, a Peruvian guy called Paul, I don't know if it's his real name, but he refers to him as Paul, approached him and said, I have some stuff that you might be interested in. I have some mummies of beings that don't look human. They're very small, and you might be interested. And Thierry Jamin was a skeptic. He was not that interested in UFOs and aliens at the time. And he said that he was approached by so many people, but somehow he answered. He replied to the guy and said, "Yes, I'm interested." And so I don't long story short, he saw the bodies and he thought, oh my God, we have something there. But even when he saw them, he was still a skeptic. He thought they look like dolls. I don't know what they are. So in 8 years ago, 6 years ago, he went on quite a few different, wide range of French media, and he talked about the bodies, and he said we're about to analyze them, and believe me, not many people believed it was a real thing, but it was quite of a big deal in the French media world back then. Not mainstream, obviously, but
Hey,
a
I'm
lot of
glad it's
people
a
were
big deal
interested.
somewhere. It needs to be a big deal somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, it was, and mostly because Thierry Jamin is French. Let's be honest here. And as you know, they what's his name? Mao-san, I forgot what his first
Jaime
name is.
Maussan.
Um, yeah, he heard about the bodies and he got them. He acquired them or he got hold of them. I don't know how. And as you know, he presented them during the Mexico hearings. I understand why people were still skeptic after the first Mexico hearings because he didn't give a lot of scientific information about them, right? He just said, here are the bodies. And
Right.
let's be honest, they look fake. But I always say to people, how would you know an alien is real? You don't have any reference, right? If you were shown a video of a cow, you would be able to tell if it's a real cow or not, or at least you will have some informed knowledge about what a cow looks like because you've seen cows for many years. But what about aliens? So people had a different expectation, and I think that's why they were disappointed. But look, they've done so many studies on these bodies, so many studies. So once again, I'm asking, what else do people need? What else do people need? Yes, I was told it would be more convincing if renowned doctors in the US or the UK, because your audience is mostly Anglo-Saxon, did some studies on them. It would be more convincing. But I do believe that Peruvian and Mexican doctors can tell if it's a human body or if
Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
fake.
right,
I think they're
right.
skilled enough to
Yeah.
know.
Well, I mean,
Obviously,
you have the
maybe.
director of a hospital doing a live CAT
Yeah,
scan, a CT
yeah,
scan. Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, how much more conclusive that can you get that that is an intact specimen? It's not a cobbled
yeah,
together mishmash of dead body
yeah,
parts. It's an
yeah,
actual specimen of a being. However
yeah,
anomalous or nonsensical it may be to us, it doesn't, its limbs don't articulate as, or at least we don't understand how they do articulate if they do.
yeah.
They don't make as much sense as we would like them to, but that's because they're not, anything that we're familiar with. They have more in
And
common
human.
genetically with the banana, apparently, than they do with us.
Yeah, yeah, they
They
do. Yeah,
are truly anomalous, amazing. Just like you said, this is disclosure right here. But it's
it
only
is.
disclosure if people talk about it and take it seriously. And I'm really
Yes.
hoping that
Yeah,
the Japanese hearing on the 20th, being
yeah.
a developed
I hope so
country
too.
and its scientists will be taken seriously, and that could
Yeah.
prompt Western scientists to really look at this in a new light, in a more serious light. Now, I have to ask you, feel free to, to say no that you can't answer, but maybe you can give a yes or no answer. I know you can't give any specifics, and
I know
I
what you're going to
totally
ask.
understand that. But have you seen any evidence in your own research and your own inside information that the Nazca beings are genuine?
Yes, I have. Yeah. I can't share because I don't you and I we've been talking about it for months. I've been trying to acquire a video, let's just say
Yeah,
a
I didn't
video
know if
that
you wanted
shows.
to go there or not, but yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, well, you asked a question. So but I unfortunately I just saw a video a few years ago of beings that look very, very similar to the creatures from the Nazca mummies. Very similar. And
That's amazing. That's amazing,
unfortunately,
Nico.
yeah. And unfortunately, I was not allowed to take the video, to take the footage. I was not allowed to film it, so I don't have it. And I've been trying really, really hard to get my hands on them, but I haven't been able to.
Were these alive beings? Was it multiple? So these were
There were
living.
two of them. Yeah, two of them living. Yeah. I don't know how old the video is, but obviously it's a video. So
Yeah.
so it can't be
Were
that
they
old.
moving? Were their limbs articulating?
The problem is that there was a very strong light behind them. I have no idea what the light is. And I saw the video a few years ago, but I'm 100% sure that the beings on the video are the same ones. Yeah, they were moving, they were walking. Yeah, but strangely, that's all I would say. Strangely, very strangely. But they were moving, they were walking. Yes,
That's
and
amazing.
there were two of them, and I don't know if the person who has the video, because I know who has the video, if that person hears me, please, please, you don't have to give it to me or sell it to me. Just release it because it's a very important video. Yeah.
Were the beings wearing any clothing like in the bodies that were found? They were wearing like Mayan style headdresses and armor and stuff like that.
Oh, no.
Were they wearing
The
spacesuits? Were they naked?
it's hard to let's just say it's hard to say because the quality of the video is pretty good, but let's just say I do not remember if they were wearing like the typical suit that grays are portrayed to wear. I don't know. I don't remember, but one thing is for sure, they were not wearing anything on the head.
Yeah.
What I
You would
remember is that.
probably remember if they were wearing a big headdress.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. They were not wearing any Inca styled helmets or whatever. What I remember is that something was glowing on their chest. Not like light, but something phosphorescent, something like that. Yeah, yeah.
What do
I
you
saw
think it
that.
could have
And
been an implant?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what it was, but
Was it
yeah, I
external?
remember
Was
that.
it coming from their skin?
I don't remember. It was just coming from them. You could tell a shape. You could see a shape, a phosphorescent shape, on their body. That's all I remember. Yeah,
Wow. What was the shape? Can you tell us what it looked like?
I don't remember.
Okay.
You have to understand. It was. I can say the exact date, but it was a few years ago. So I don't remember the details. But what I remember is that the creatures. I know it's true. I know it's the same creatures because I remember the second I saw the Nazca mummies, and that was I saw them the first time in 2017. I say to myself, oh my God, that's what I saw in the videos.
That's
That's
amazing.
interesting. And I realized, wow, they've been here for a long time. That's the
That's
first thing I
amazing,
thought.
Nico. That's really
Yeah.
incredible. And you're also able
Yeah.
to corroborate the John Stewart alien interview video,
Yeah.
at least in part. You
Yep.
saw a
Yep.
similar type of being. Was it in the
Yeah.
alien retention program like that one? Was it a captured being? Was it free? Can you tell us any more information about that video?
I didn't have a lot of information, but what I was told is that they didn't the beings were okay. I don't know if it's true. I'm just sharing what I was told, but apparently I was told that the beings were captured in the Kalahari Desert. Um, and
There's a
so
famous case in the Kalahari Desert.
they were captured in an alien spaceship's crash. There were several beings captured that day. At least two of them survived the crash. The being that was interviewed, I know your guests shared the information with the public. And by the way, this is one of the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing now and why I'm writing a book about it, because when I was giving all this information, I thought to myself, what am I going to do with all that? Who am I going to talk to? No one around me believed in that aliens were here. Most people didn't care about UFOs around me, except my small group of business partners. But in my personal life, no one cared. So I thought, what am I going to do with that? I had massive amount of information because I took a lot of notes, a lot of notes. But I felt I didn't have the time to write a book. I didn't have time to create a YouTube channel and talk about this. And I thought to myself, I'm a businessman. If I share this information with the world, people are going to think I'm crazy. And I thought to myself, it's going to have a negative impact on my professional life. So in a way, let's be honest, I was a coward. I thought to myself, I don't want to expose what I know because it could have a very negative impact. And I was told there was a control group. I wasn't told how dangerous they potentially are, but I knew they exist. So I thought to myself, I don't want to have any trouble. What changed my mind was David Grush, on Messiah, because he came forward and it changed everything to me. The article in 2017 didn't change anything to me. I thought to myself, yeah, okay, that's good, that's progress. But no, it was David Grush. It changed everything for me
I hope
because
you've enjoyed part one of my interview with Nico. I hope you found it as fascinating as I did. Please hit like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. And be sure to check out tomorrow's part two, the final part of the interview, where we talk about fascinating stuff like the teleportation device that Nico discovered. Isn't that amazing? So be sure to stay tuned for that. And I'll see you guys next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.